Hey everybody. Well, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment because I've decided that I want to make another one of these guys here. So now that I've had the experience of putting this one together, and you can check out this video. It's a long video. It's about an hour long, but I show how to make one of these things. And it's all based from Adam Kreutinger's tutorial on how to make puppets. He's got a whole channel full of how to make puppets, the eyes, and all kinds of different things. And I really wanted to try to make this pig because it was so cute, and I think he's really cool. But I have all this extra material left over because I bought too much. So I decided I want to make another one. So I've already started on the main structure here with the foam. I've already glued all of this stuff together. This time, I'm with having known what I had to do from the last one, I tried to make sure I cut a little bit better along the edges here, so more towards the inside of where I marked it. I think that made it a little bit smaller because it seems like his circumference is a lot smaller. And then there's going to be a few things on here that'll be different. It's going to be pretty much the same piggy, but I think I'm going to do his ears differently. I'd kind of like to make his ears shorter and maybe more behind his head. I'm going to probably keep the same round eyes, but I'm not going to have the Cookie Monster eyes. See how these google around like this? And I showed how I did that in the other video. So I think I'm going to change that, and then I don't know if I'm going to keep his nostrils the same, if I'm going to keep them round or a different shape. It just seems like the round ones are kind of the ones that make him look the cutest. Definitely want to try to improve on what I did on the arms here because I messed up on those so badly. Well, at least for me. Some of my friends say they don't notice it, but so I want to try to make this one a little bit better, just a little bit of changes on it, but not much. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, so now I've got all the parts marked out for the fleece. This time I'm using the other side of the fleece. The last time I used the more, the fluffier side here, but this time I want to use the more flatter side because that's actually what I always see the Muppets made out of. It's more of a, it's not as not the fluffy side of this. And then also when I cut these out, this time I'm going to make sure I cut on the inside of the line here. Before I was just cutting on the line. And then when you're stitching this up, eventually you're going to have the black lines showing through on the other side. So I'm going to be very careful about it this time and make sure that I cut them the way I probably should have the first time around. Here are the ears, but I think I'm only going to make these about half the size. I'll probably mark it and make those half the size of those. All right, so let me get all that done. All right, so this time around it's going much quicker than the first time I did this because I have at least a little bit more experience with this. So I got all the pieces cut out, and as I mentioned, I cut them closer to the line now so we won't have the line showing through the marker. Here's the arm pieces, and they're made so that the smooth side is going to be on the outside. These are what I think I'm going to make the ears look like. I think they're going to be kind of cool. So here we'll have kind of an idea. You can kind of see what it's going to look like. It's going to be like this. And these will be sewed down, so it'll be a little bit flatter right there. I think those might look pretty cool, and his eyes will be right in front, so I'm going to try to put these pretty close together and maybe right behind his ears. I think that might look pretty cute. There's his snout. This time I didn't have a piece of rubber for the mouth plate, and so what I decided to do is I took a piece of styrene plastic, which is right here. And I think in Adam's video, he said that if you do use a plastic instead of that rubber, you're going to have to cut it in half. So you can see the line right there in the center. So you just cut it right on that line. And those are going to be the mouth plates. And then this one here, I decided to add, this glue is still drying, but I added this little strap. I just used a piece of the stiffer felt. And I'm just going to use that as a finger strap to make it a little easier so that once it's in the mouth right here, you'll be able to get your fingers in there and have a little bit, more control of the mouth. So I just put a ton of Gorilla Glue on here right now, and I'm letting that dry. I'll have to let that dry overnight. That way it stays on good and tight. I don't want it popping off, because once it's inside this part, it'll be really hard to try to fix it. Let's see, the eyes I had to repaint because these are ones from the previous pig that I made, and I'm using craft paint on this one this time just to maybe get a little bit better coverage. And I think tomorrow, after this has had some time to dry overnight, I'm going to spray it with some spray paint, maybe just to even it out a little bit so you don't see the brush strokes so much. So I think all I have to do now is start sewing all of these parts together again, and I think this time I'm going to use the little loop style stitch that kind of goes, you go around kind of like this, so that the stitch will be closer to the edge and it'll be a little more even. So I'm going to try that. So yeah, hopefully this all works out. So I'll show you what I have after I get some of this stuff done. Okay, so I'm trying not to show you the same stuff I did in the video before this that showed how I made the first pig. I'm just trying to show you some things I did differently on this. So the stitch that I used on these is where you just kind of go in the same side and you loop it. You know, so you go in, loop it around, go in, loop it around, and just keep doing that all the way down. Before that, on the first pig, I only did that on a few sections. I kind of went, you know, in and out on both sides. But this one seems to work better because you get a smaller kind of stitch line area, and I think it's a little bit stronger too. So I definitely went with that one. This nasal section, the snout, I tried to do this one a little bit better because I wasn't really completely happy with the way the first one turned out. Hopefully this one will look better. I haven't stretched it around the body here yet to know. This particular mouth section was really difficult to do for some reason. The first one wasn't as difficult. And then I also wanted to make sure I added extra threads to reinforce this corner where this is going to, you know, taut, because that's where all the stress is going to be. So anyway, so I'm about ready to glue this into this part, but I haven't glued the mouthpiece in here yet. Now, these are the mouthpieces that I showed earlier. I decided to add a finger strap on both of them. So this one here is going to have to get glued in here like before, except, you know, it was the rubber piece. But let's see, it's going to go this way. So I'm going to hot glue this in here. But now in the first pig puppet, I used a piece of rubber in here. It was all one piece. Since this is going to be two pieces, this part here is going to have to go in here. I need to figure out, I guess I'm going to have to glue this part to the actual cloth, that red cloth mouth part right here. So I'm not sure. Since I haven't done it this way before, I'm going to have to check that out. But I think those little finger things are going to really help make it easier to operate the mouth. All right, well anyway, that's what I got so far. So let's see how that all works out. All right, so just a quick update here. This one looks pretty much the same as the first one. I did do some things differently on it. I gotta say this one's not coming out as good as the first one. For whatever reason, I cannot get this nose right. I don't know why, but I just can't. This is actually, the first nose actually looked a little worse than this. I cut that one out and put this one in, and it still looks a little lopsided. So I think in order to take some attention away from that, I'm going to make some really big nostril pieces right here. I think, or maybe not quite that big, but something to really take away from the look of that and to change his look. And then here are the ears. I've already got these all made as well. That's going to go back here. I'm just going to use the simple circle. I think I'll just do circles of felt that I'm just going to glue on there. And then also for the arms, since I had so much trouble with the arms the last time, I just simply hot glued these in. I know it doesn't look that great, but at least they, you know, are even, and they look a little more even than the first version of this. I don't really like how this kind of sticks up around the edge here. I'll see maybe if I can glue those down a little better. So anyway, here he is, and I should have him done here after this. All right, and here he is. Oh gosh, I don't know. This one didn't turn out as good as the first one, but I mean, you can really see a lot of stitch marks everywhere, and the arms, I tried to trim down those edges a little bit more, but I don't know. I made the tail a little bit longer on this one, which I think is kind of cool. But I don't know, man. This puppet is just a difficult puppet to make, and just like I mentioned in the previous video, Adam Kreutinger is the gentleman who came up with the design of this puppet, which is a really cool puppet, but he's just a master puppet maker. He's just much better. I mean, this has just been something more of an experiment. So here's the two together. Let me kind of get them closer together. So this is the first one I made from the first video. And here is the second one. You can see a little bit of the difference there. I kind of wanted the ears to be different on this one. I was going to make the nostrils oval shaped, but I don't know, it doesn't look that good. For whatever reason, they just look a little better and cuter when their nostrils are round. I just tried to make his a little bit different. Instead of using the Cookie Monster eyes like I did on this one, I just went ahead and actually just drew those on. I tried felt, but the felt just didn't really look that good. So I just drew them on. I used a little, I don't know what you call it, one of those ruler things that's got circles and stuff on it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he's okay. Nothing crazy here. Let me get my fingers in here. So yeah, here you can kind of see his. Can still move his mouth really good. Those little straps for the fingers in there work really good. And I guess he's okay. I mean, it's not terrible, but now that I mean, I'm not going to do any more of these puppets. I'm done now. I got this out of my system, and I'm worn out now. I just wanted to try it, and then since I had so much material left over, I really wanted to make another one and see if I could do a better job. And it turns out the first one actually turned out better. But anyway, that's all right. I mean, I still think they were fun to make. They're just a lot of work. But like I said, I got it out of my system now, and I'm done with puppets. So what can I say? Oh, for heaven's sake. Yes, dinner's at 6:30, and no, we're not on the menu.